Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anthony Mews-Firkin, and sometimes things don't always go according to plan when I record my director's commentaries. Sometimes a slip of the tongue or wildly libelous statement has to be cut from the track. I had presumed, quite rightfully, that these small errors had been erased, but it would appear Martin believed they should be collected together and put into some form of blooper reel. And I am absolutely 100% fine with it. This is that now. Long shot into mid here, classic Firkin, delightful two-hander here. I recall we shot this in all natural lighting, apart from the lamps, in Athens, very close to the apocalypse. And we, what? What are you saying to me, Martin? Well, f*** you! F*** you, Martin! F*** you with a vengeance! Who do you think you are? Hey, you wastrel piece of fecal idiocy! And he turned to me, and he said, "Do you like Ian Fleming?" And quick as a flash, I replied, "I don't know, I've never Ian Flemmed." And then he shot me. I'll be honest, I did not see that coming from a bishop. No matter what we said, he just wouldn't snap out of it. His eyes! He'd said he'd seen too much. He had become death itself, and somehow making movies just seemed so trite and pointless. He just stared into his umbongo and wept. Just settling down to a lovely meal, when up he comes, all flop sweat and egregious whistling, casually drops his new play on the table, something titled Sodomy Sodder You, and I just said, "Sting, not interested, will never be interested, have never been interested." Honestly, it was not a pretty sight, vomit and urine everywhere, but that's what's going to happen if you invite Derek Jacobi to a tequila bar 3 days after he's left rehab. I mean, he told the press he was taking time away to recuperate from a particularly hostile nosebleed, but the man's sweat was practically flammable, for God's sake. More than likely, it was Angela Lansbury trying to disguise her voice, but whomever it was, it all led to what we know of now. I mean, I was no fan of Nixon. Yes, I did direct a few of his campaign commercials, but everyone had a hand in those back in the day. I mean, it's not on his resume, but Francis Ford Coppola directed that one where Nixon's at the soup kitchen and explains Chinese expansion to Walter Cronkite over some steaming pea and ham. He was weeping and weeping, his body a trembling rictus of terror and abject confusion. He wasn't a man anymore. He lay in my arms and we cried together. He over the death and pain he'd seen in war, me over a bad review I'd recently had for my episode of Kojak. I believe it's sometime after she resigned from the cabinet and tried her hand at acting. Didn't all go her way, sadly. Lovely lady. Now, of course, she's most well remembered for introducing the concept of housing red sauce in comically oversized tomatoes, a practice still much loved in greasy spoons up and down the north of England. Roll up his sleeves and turn to the audience and he'd say, "Where's the mango gone?" He'd excitedly ask everyone, of course. Not a soul had a clue. Bemused to a man, it was such a delightful music hall act. Up until that point, it ultimately soured when he'd squat over the tin tray and reveal exactly where the mango had in fact gone. Sadly, dessert that evening was fruit trifle, which went largely uneaten. I mocked away his tears and simply cradled him like a newborn, his masculine bulk now replaced with a shadow of all he had seen, all he had done. Unpaid taxes, brothel subscription fees, a flagrant disregard for health and safety. I mean, I witnessed with my own ears a violent exchange between the two of the stars that ended up in a cacophony of punches, and that is why the Muppets were ultimately cancelled. It's incredible to think that originally the actress here was to be in full blackface, but in the end she turned out to be allergic to boot polish, so... Natural light, and it really does frame the actor, whose name escapes me so well. I believe we used this very same location in my 1974 production of hold on, this isn't one of mine. Martin, this is one of mine! Well, in truth, virtually impossible to work with. I mean, I don't care how big a star name you are. If you inflate a midget with methane on set, then pop him like a tragic viscera balloon, you're going to earn a reputation. Dagenham, then Coventry, I think, then it was Norwich and finally Birmingham. When we finally found him, he was in a Clark's shoe shop trying to convert a pair of rubber-soled pumps to Marxism. I mean, it's classic Sonny Bono. All cast and crew were sat around watching Scarface. It was that classic scene. Say hello to my good friend. Unforgettable from little Al Pacino there. Never worked with him, sadly, though his dentist and I accidentally shared a pizza once. True story. You don't understand, Martin. There for all to see, in bare tooth and claw, was human suffering. There, present in this shivering, sobbing man, only moments ago, a vital, statuesque leading presence. He was weeping, nay, screaming at the dying of the light. For the young lives that were snuffed out right in front of his wide, disbelieving eyes, all for the sake of what? Then he sort of snapped out of it and we went for tacos. I think she was just coming out of witness protection, I believe. She wanted to work, she wanted to get back into the movies, but the damage had been done. The higher you rise, the harder you fall. I mean, ask any coconut. There was 12 foot of rubber tubing coiled up in there. I mean, look, I admire the tenacity required, but you simply can't rely on the notion that, oh, I'm Gary Coleman, and I'm not going to get cavity searched at Istanbul airport. Poor boy was more tubing than man. Well, we've all had great fun, and I'm fine with that. Please join me again some other time for more Firkin on Film. Martin, I will not be doing another one of those bloody things, you ungrateful little motherfucker.